Whew. Just jumping on live real quick. So, just posted a video that I've been waiting on posting for a while. Had a couple people that wanted me to post it a while back. I did it on live and just posted it. So, want to jump on live for a couple minutes. I had about 20 minutes to jump on here and talk about narcissism. Some talk about some of either what I post on the video, just kind of like a cycle that happens with narcissism. It happens with guys in general, not just narcissists. But yeah, so just jumping on here real quick. So, got a couple people here. Hey there. Cool. But yeah, so not a whole lot's been going on. I got glasses on right now just because last week I had eye surgery. So they went in and they messed with my left eye a bunch. So that's why I'm wearing those. I gotta wear them for another like week or so before I can switch out and finally get back into contacts and all. But it's a little bit different getting used to them because I haven't worn glasses in a while. But hey there, it's Layla. But yeah. So yeah, just wanted to jump on real quick. I've got about like 20 minutes or so, talk a little bit about narcissism. I just posted a video that a couple people had asked me to post for a while, and I posted the whole video, and then I kind of posted up in bits and pieces. Hey there, man, how you doing? But just like video that I posted just talking about like in a cycle. So like you have someone who's going along and they hit a trigger, they hit something that's like triggering to them. And like for narcissism, like that's normally like a huge thing. Like it's huge for the narcissist, but it might be like something small. So like I use in the video like an illustration of it might be your birthday, it might be you succeeding at something, it might be them having less of the spotlight on themselves. And all of a sudden that produces a trigger, and all of a sudden it throws out bunch of anger, and they got anger and rage coming at you. They've got blame. They're going to blame you for their decisions. They're going to blame you for what you might be going through. They're going to blame you for the abuse they're causing, and back and forth. And then they're going to feel guilt, even if that's for like a tiny smidge of a second. Like a narcissist isn't going to dwell on that and isn't going to typically have a lot of guilt. And they're going to push it away. They're going to, suppress it. They're going to get rid of it. They're going to move on as fast as they can. And then they're going to go to shame, and shame really like throws them down in what we call the pit. So it goes all the way down to the worst of the worst, like where they're depressed, where they're frustrated, and just cycles it back up. And so they start thinking, how can I get out of this? Okay, well, let me lie to myself, gaslight others, manipulate whatever I need to do to get back to the previous state, but not realizing that the previous that the previous state is just as broken and is just as messed up as where they were, because they're not actually dealing with the problem. They're not dealing with the problem of the narcissism. They're not dealing with the problem of how they're interacting with people, of how they're lying, of how they're not being transparent with multiple people. There's a lot of things like that. Hey Sylvia, good to see you on here. But yeah, so if you haven't seen, so check out that video whenever you get a chance. Check out the latest video. So it's kind of duplicated right now. I posted like the original, which is like 3 minutes long, and a couple people wanted to be able to grab it and like stitch it and duet it, and you can't do that when it's 3 minutes long. So I also have it broken up. We'll see if it's kind of redundant if I just like lose some views or whatever from it, but it's fine. Heather, hey, just saw you jump on here. I'm on here for like 20 minutes, so. Um, but yeah, so let's see. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. So, but yeah, so check out that video if you haven't watched it yet. Check out the video. It's a 3 minute long video, or you can watch the three separate videos. I kind of broke it up into segments, but I kind of pieced them out. So a couple people that wanted to duet, thank you, that wanted to duet or stitch them could actually be able to touch into those and be able to do that. So I just want to spread the message. I want to spread some of that out more and more. So I learned that concept. I learned that chart, kind of the cycle in one sense when I was with Wake Up Warrior group. I'm still with them, but when I was going through the Wake Up Warrior challenge, which was like a 30-day challenge, went through that. And one of the things he talked about was that cycle. And I think that cycle is like really key and accurate for narcissists, but I also think it's really key and accurate for lots of men, just in general. Granted, there's a lot of men out there that are narcissists. They're That's normally the main strain. But I think it applies to both. Yeah, so birthday is definitely a trigger for a narcissist. I misspoke in the video. I said there when I meant your. So like if I'm the narcissist and you're not the narcissist, your birthday is going to be sometimes a triggering point for the narcissist because in that moment, the spotlight is off of me. The spotlight is on you. And as a result, I got to figure out, like, how do I get that spotlight back on me? So, I might, start an argument. I might make like a big ordeal about something. I might blow up about something little. I might lie about something, gaslight about something, or manipulate a whole nother situation so I can put the emphasis, put the focus back on me. And if I'm able to do that, then one, I'm the center of my universe and the center of attention. And two, I'm controlling it. And that's really what a narcissist wants to do. um, Thank you. Appreciate it. So yeah, I was excited to I had talked about doing that video for, I don't know. Heather's on here. Like she asked me a couple times. Like I talked about doing it for like a month probably and just hadn't gotten around to it. And finally I was like, fine, I'm just gonna do it. And then I like shocked myself that I took it in like one take and put it up. And then I was like, I gotta break it up because it's too long. What was that moment that made you realize you needed help? Unfortunately, I didn't have one moment. It wasn't when I confessed stuff. It wasn't when I told my wife. It wasn't when my wife left me for a period of time. Like there wasn't one moment. There was countless moments over a year and a half that I got to the place that I'm like, I am tired of this. Like, I am tired of living in this hell, in this shit that I created for myself, that I have to be able to say, like, this is not working. The current life, the current cycle that I'm in is not working, whether that's affair after affair, like cheating, like manipulating, gaslighting, like the arguments, the yelling, the screaming, like it's just going back and forth and getting to the place where I'm like, this life that I have right now is not working. And it got to the place where I was just like, I got to get it out there. I got to, so I confess like the affairs, I confess like cheating and stuff like that to my wife. And honestly, like when I first did it, I thought that was going to be like the turning point. I thought there was going to be the turning point of confessed it, she walks out, done, move on with my life. Maybe I can like fix whatever I'm trying to fix. But she didn't. She didn't walk out at that point. And at that point, I was just like, crap. Like, now what do I do? Like, I'm the one that's done the wrong by cheating on her. Like, how am I supposed to do this? Okay, like maybe I can figure out a way that I can make it so awful that she'll leave me. Again, narcissistic thinking, going back to the spot of like, hey, like if I can get her to leave, then I can feel better about myself. So, um, yeah, she's already on here like saying to tell. Okay, so I just released, it's like rough draft everything. I just released a new website, so it's rawmotivations.com. Trying to go through and start getting a lot of stuff like branded. So with my YouTube, with my Instagram, I'm on a bunch of other stuff that I'm trying to catch up on. Like random stuff, Clapper, Parlor. I'm on Facebook, like a bunch of stuff like that. But just kind of start off a rough draft of websites. So rawmotivations.com, it's got built-in stuff where you can go in and you can look at two different sections. One's for coaching and one's for narcissism. So jumping on, I actually had a session today, an hour session with someone where she's in a relationship with a narcissist and she wanted to figure out, my advice and kind of walk through like, how do I survive right now as I'm trying to build an exit strategy to get out? And so like that was like a really good talk. We were able to talk through a bunch of stuff. But I also have a side that I'm trying to slowly develop, which is just like coaching. And some of it is going off of, just like that video that I had. Like that applies to narcissism. It applies to a lot of life. It applies to a lot of guys that are struggling with a lot of stuff. So starting to open up some opportunity to be able to do that. It's not that expensive. Just starting off, just trying to get some feelers out there, provide some hope, help, healing, and change to some people. So if you want to sometime, click my link in the bio. I've got a couple different venues, social media that you guys can look at, and then also that website you can go to be able to sign up just to have some interaction, whether that's over narcissism or whether it's just over like coaching of where are you at with life, where do you want to go, how can you get there. There's a lot of awesome stuff like that. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I just recorded today, I think it was like two other videos or maybe three other videos in regards to parenting, in regards to like a narcissist parents, like how like I have the challenges that I face, with parenting. When my daughter's crying and I'm like, I'm supposed to feel emotion, I'm supposed to have that empathy, but in the moment I'm like, well, if you hadn't done that, you wouldn't be crying. And it's just not helpful. And so like trying to think through like how do I actively build uh, systems, like build ways to be able to engage with my daughter so that it's a healthy way and so that I'm not just creating more narcissism. Like I don't want to do that. I want to stop that oftentimes generational curse, because the parents are a certain way, the kids become a certain way, or they become attracted to narcissists a certain way. And that's something that I really want to do. So thank you for that about talking for parenting and things like that. Trying to touch base on a little bit more of that. I record two videos today on that. So hopefully you'll see those coming once I edit those and work on those a little bit. So yes, thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, so I mentioned earlier, like I'm wearing glasses for another week or so. I had eye surgery on my left eye. It's slowly getting back up to speed. I don't have bubbles in it anymore. Also don't have floaters in it anymore, which is really nice. But it still is dilated on and off. So it's coming back. What can I do if my narcissist goes silent? That's your perfect exit time. I mean, I don't know your situation, so I don't know what's going on. But a lot of times, if your narcissist goes silent, if they ghost you, like that really is your perfect time to try to set up whatever you need to be able to get out of the relationship. Now, I understand some relationships have a lot going on and they're not able to just jump out. But he blocked me, then unblocked you. Yeah, he's gonna keep doing that. He's gonna keep doing that. The only way that it'll stop is when you block him. So I had someone ask me the other day, they were like, how can I get him to block me and actually leave me blocked? I'm like, you're not. Like it's not gonna change anything because you're trying to train a 2-year-old to stop picking up a certain toy, to stop doing a certain thing. It's gonna keep happening until you, as the person who's growing, changing, and developing yourself, come to the realization of like, hey, I need to put this block in place because this is what I'm doing to be able to move on with my life and to be able to continue on. Um, what to do on empty threats? Narcissists have lots of empty threats. What's worse is when the person in the relationship that's not the narcissist has empty threats because that means nothing to a narcissist. And that means they will roll right over you, steamroll you. So when you set a boundary, you don't have a consequence, and you don't do anything about it, then that's an empty threat to the narcissist. That's just like free game. That means, hey, that person didn't mean it when they said they were going to leave. If I talk to them like this, they're still here. That means I can talk to them like this, however I want, because they're not going anywhere. It's really bad, but be careful of that. Obviously a lot of times do have a lot of empty threats, but make sure you're not the one that has those. So anyway, you can help them. You can try to promote awareness as far as like showing them other videos about narcissism, bringing it up, but not in an accusing way. Otherwise, you're just going to get a lot of lashback. There's not a cut and dried answer, and there's not a single way that you can convince a narcissist that they're a narcissist. Sometimes professional help can be able to convince them in one sense. Other times, like talking to them very like logically and calmly can actually get some direction. Handling can actually get them someplace, but not always. And I don't want to give you hope when there's not hope there. But I also want to say like, hey, here's like 3 different ways that you could possibly get some tiny traction, but don't expect it. So. If I set a boundary and left for a couple days, but he came back and still don't want to attain to them. Yeah, if you set a boundary and you left or he left, and then that boundary is still being broken, then that means he can do whatever he wants. Like if if the person says, "Hey, don't touch the cookie jar," and the narcissist walks over and touches the cookie jar, and you don't do anything about it, and there's no consequence, there's no repercussion for the thing that that person did, then they don't care anymore. They don't care that you set a boundary. They don't care that you put a line in the sand that said, "Hey, how you're communicating to me, how you're communicating to our kids is unacceptable. If that continues, then I'm going to block you out of our lives." If they continue that and you continue to allow that, then on them, they think you don't care. It's not that big a deal. I can keep doing it. I can keep abusing. I can keep yelling, whatever it might be. So that's why it's huge. I think a lot gets talked on here about having boundaries, but not enough gets talked on here on following through with the consequences. So as a result, there's a lot of people that just really quickly rush and they throw up a boundary, but they haven't really thought through what are they going to do when that boundary is broken, because it will get broken if you're dealing with a narcissist. Biggest thing is making sure you actually follow through. If you don't follow through, nothing's going to change. Um, if someone can, if you guys are on here by 9 o'clock, if someone can just like put in the chat when it's 9, because if I pull down, sometimes it disconnects me. Probably answered this before, but what boundaries does your wife have with you that allow for a healthy relationship? There we go. So boundaries really specifically that she has for me is not a whole lot. Currently, it's the one that I continue to change, continue to be honest, continue to be vulnerable, and then I don't cheat. If I break those, then she's gone. Pretty simple and pretty cut and dry as far as how it is. But that's where it is. Like if she's not seeing me continue to consistently work on change, consistently work on growth, then like she's made it really clear, like she's done. She has no reason to be here. I've screwed up my entire relationship with her. Like I've messed up everything. I've hurt her, I've destroyed her, I've cheated too many times, I've lost my job because of everything that's gone on. She's lost her job because of everything that's gone on. Just all those different types of things has been awful. And so like is at the place where she's like, hey, like this is your last chance. Like these are your standards, these are your boundaries. If they don't happen, I'm out. Um, did anybody take a narcissism test? There's a couple narcissism tests out there that you can take. There's one that's like quick and simple. Minddiagnostic.org, I think, has a narcissism test. They have a couple other ones that are pretty decent. It's like, I don't know, 10, 12, 20 questions max. I think it's like 12 questions. But it's like pretty easy, and you can see like, hey, does this person kind of match up? Like looking at the DSM-5, you can kind of go through and see a couple things as well. Um, let's see. Can someone throw the time in the chat? Eastern time? I'm just not sure what time it is. Do they have emotions? Do they feel hurt for hurting the other person? No, typically they don't. So typically they don't hurt whenever they are doing something that hurts the other person. They see the other person like crying or having emotion. Their immediate thought is like, oh, like this person's trying to manipulate me just how I'm trying to manipulate them. Or they'll just like get upset. They'll get like really frustrated and really mad because like you're showing emotion. I don't know how to deal with that. So it's like instead of me trying to learn how to deal with that, I'm just going to get pissed off. I'm just going to get frustrated because what you're dealing with is too much for me to try to figure out and handle. Angeline, thank you so much. Let's see. Yes, they're definitely trying to help as best I can, like with healing, with anything I can, just to help people get to the next level. So that's what I'm doing. There's people that come in and out of here, so I'm going to mention a couple times while I'm on, since I'm only on for a short period of time. But check out the link in my bio. I've got a new rough draft website that just went up, rawmotivations.com. I've got some links in there for some people that are interested in like some coaching opportunities, and also just narcissism talks. And that's where you can set up a one-on-one with me to be able to do a Zoom conversation, go over narcissism, how that's looking in your life, or some people are just talking about like life coaching of like where they are in life, where they want to go, how are you going to get there, like what's the next step to be able to do that. Check it out sometime. When I said I don't trust you, he said that isn't logical. Yeah, because the narcissist defies logic. The narcissist does not make sense, like to a normal mind, to a normal life, or anything like that. So, if you say you don't trust me, and I say, hey, like that's not logical. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm trying to gaslight you. I'm trying to manipulate you to make you think that you are stupid for even questioning me. Because if I can make you think that you're stupid for questioning me, then there goes all your basis for questioning. You're like, oh, well, I shouldn't question him. Like, of course I shouldn't. Like, no, you should, because the fact that he's probably trying to manipulate you, he's probably trying to control you. And that's what comes down to it. Like, they're gonna say whatever. Like sometimes they'll just say like off the wall crazy stuff because they want to be able to control you. Like that's not logical. Like, are you stupid? Like, why would you even think that? Of course I'm not doing that. Blah blah blah. And all the time they are. And they're gonna disassociate, they're gonna switch the story around, put you on the defensive so that you don't keep accusing them. What made you respect her boundaries now and realize she's serious? I realized she was serious when she left. I realized she was serious even before that. She'd been talking about divorce for a while. We'd both been talking about it, and we were both like frustrated with the marriage where we were, things like that. And when it comes down to it, I won't change and I can't change long term if I'm only changing for her boundaries. And that's the thing that people have to realize is like if a narcissist is just changing for another person, eventually it will wear out. Eventually it will go out. I had to come to a place where I am going to change because of me, because I want the change, because I want the difference, because I'm tired of the crappy life that I've been living, the lies that I've been living. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize the lies that I had in my life. I didn't realize like what was going on and what I was struggling with. I went through a 30-day challenge with a group called Warrior, Wake Up Warrior Group. And in that, I got to the place toward the end of 30 days, I had to identify and show the 7 lies that I was believing in my life. The 7 lies, there were lies between myself and others, lies between myself and my wife, lies between myself and God. And once I started realizing the lies, once I started realizing the fake life that I was living, that's when I started breaking through. That's when I started understanding, like, hey, like, I need to get to the place where I can actually be real, be raw, be honest, be relevant with the people, just to produce the results that I want to produce. Um, so for me, it was also a long process. It wasn't like something really quick. Um, Recognized my wife brought it up. I started watching some videos about it. Denied it a lot, and for a good period of time. Took probably like a year or so before I actually admitted it. Um, and a lot of different stuff like that. Yeah, so it took a while. Are you DX with BPD? Are you? I don't know what the DX means. Sorry. With Oh, diagnosed probably. So, yeah, so like going through like the DSM-5, I think I had someone on here that said like a while ago, like if you have like 5 of the 7, then you have it or whatever. There's been a period of time where I had like all 7 of them for sure in my life, and that was something that really was like awful, especially like the first like 5 years of our marriage. That's when like my narcissism was like high and like very exceptional. And I don't think a lot of people are able to get to the place where they start realizing and admitting that they even struggle with narcissism or get to that place. One, because they don't want to admit they have lies. They don't want to admit they're lying to themselves. Two, a lot of times they can't do it on their own. Like they have to have outside help. They have to have either a mentor or someone that kind of like jars them awake. And a lot of times I also because of my background, I also believe they have to have God. If you're not relying on a higher power than you, then you're still going to be blinded by the lies that you create. That's going to limit you from actually tapping into something bigger than yourself. So there's a lot of stuff with narcissism that get to the place that people just don't want to admit it because they can't see past themselves. They can't see past the lies that they've created. Next, you chose to throw it all away. Yeah, I mean, they're going to blame you. They're going to want to switch the narrative, put it back on you, blame you for what they did. So, like, you leave me, like, that's perfect. I'm excited for that because one, it just made me free. I can do now whatever I want. I can go see whoever I want. No consequences, no repercussions, anything like that. And if someone comes to me and talks about what's going on, I can be like, yeah, they left me. Like, I'm actually the victim here. Like, yeah, maybe I had a couple moments of like indiscretion, cheated 5 times, but they left me. Like, how awful is that? That's what a narcissist is going to do. They're going to manipulate, they're going to change the story as much as they can so they can make themselves look like the best person possible. And if they can make you look like the bad person, if they can gaslight you, manipulate other people around so that they look like they're up on the pedestal and you're the one, that's kicking them, like they're going to do that every single time. Is this an attempt at Hoover or manipulate? No. No, not at all. So my wife follows this. She sees what's going on. She has her own account as well. Hope and the Healing. This would be a crappy way to be able to Hoover. I'm much better manipulating in person than I am online. This is just a way to try to help build awareness on, hey, narcissism sucks, and narcissism is a big destroyer of a lot of people, mentally, emotionally, marriage, relationship, kids, everything like that. So let's stop. Let's work on trying to identify, trying to find help, healing to the people that are getting abused by these people, the people that have been getting abused by me, that need that change, that need that help to be able to get better. Um, let's see, kind of missed some. Your behaviors led me to make a decision. Oh yeah, that was a response to the one. Sounds very rare. It takes many years of therapy for narcissists to understand who they are. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like a lot of times it takes a long time for people to realize. So like me, it was like a long journey of slowly becoming self-aware about myself that made me start questioning like what am I actually doing? What am I actually going through? Like what is actually wrong with me? And that started off like years ago, working for restaurant industry, working for Chick-fil-A, starting to develop like leadership skills, starting to lead other people, and then starting to look into, okay, like personality tests. How do we work better as a team? Let's take a DISC personality test. Okay, I'm a high D. Okay, let's work on, Myers-Briggs, different aspects there, 16 personalities, jumping into Enneagram, like things like that. And I start seeing my strengths, my weaknesses, my personality, like defects at times and things like that. And I start seeing like, hey, look at this high ego. Look at this like high D personality. Look at this Enneagram 8. Look at this, steamrolling aspect. Like look at this part that's all this kind of stuff started open up doors for me. Um, and so like my journey to figuring out like the idea about narcissism, narcissism was introduced like the last like 2, 3 years kind of a thing. But it's more like an 8, 9 year journey of like starting to slowly figure out different parts of me that tick and why, and then starting to have those pieces come together like years down the road. Um, Try to catch up. Let's see. Is narcissism a way to build walls so you aren't emotionally available and unable to get hurt? I think a lot of times that is built that way during childhood and in early child development. It's a way to be able to build walls and be able to, you know, protect, the idea of like protect yourself. A lot of times people wouldn't view it that way or think of it that way, but I know for me, there was aspects that like I would build walls so that people wouldn't get too close so they wouldn't hurt me. And then that turned into more of an ego boost, that turned into lying, manipulating, a lot of other stuff that kind of came up with that. But why you say that to me? Put me in a position where I had no choice but to leave. Um, Sorry, some of these keep popping up, so I'm trying to figure out what goes to what. Um, but yeah, narcissism always loves like having the other person leave, and that way they don't have to feel responsible for what they're actually going through. Gaslit his whole family. Have I done that? No, I didn't do that. I just manipulated my whole family. So my whole family had no clue that I was a liar. So like that's like the easiest one. So growing up, like my parents thought I was the worst liar ever because every time I'd lie, I get like this like awful like funny grin on my face. They'd be like, "Wow, you're really bad at lying," because I can tell you're lying. Be like, "Yeah, I am lying." But what I started doing is like I started realizing like, hey, like if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get a response from them. I don't want that response from them, so I'm going to do whatever I can to do X, Y, and Z, but make it so that I don't get that response. So if that means I have to lie or manipulate, okay, I'll go ahead and do that. So then what I started doing is because I already had the reputation, they thought I was a bad liar, I kept that and made sure that I got caught on the little lies, didn't get caught on the big lies. So as a result, I could just switch it off. I had to I'd do like one lie and get caught, oh yeah, I'm sorry. And then I'd do like another lie and just flat out like, no, I didn't do that, and just move on, and they would never know because the trigger was they'd always see me lying and always get caught. But in reality, I knew how to work it. So gaslight, I would say not as much, but the manipulating and lying part, that was something that I grew up and got good with for sure. One question, do you have empathy? No, not really. Trying to learn about empathy, trying to learn how to model it, trying to learn how to participate in the concept of empathy, but it's not something that is there. It's not something that is built in. It's not something that's like, oh, I'm sorry that that happened. I'm just like you made that happen, or like, trying to think of like a good example. Um, like the other day, like I asked Sophia, our daughter, I was like, "Do you want to go outside?" And she was like, "No, I don't want to go outside." So I closed the door, and then she walks over the door and she starts like crying because she wants to go outside. Like I have like zero empathy at that point because I'm like, "Your decision, and you said you didn't want to go outside. Like, why the heck are you crying?" Okay, and like, I didn't say that to her. Okay, but that's what's going on in my head. That's what's like transpiring there because like I don't have a lot of empathy. I don't have a lot of like, oh my gosh, like you must be dealing with some feelings. I'm just kind of like, okay, like, no. Um, Thanks so much. 8:55. All right, I'm gonna jump off here in just a minute. Let me see. Let me see if I can pop through real quick. Could you explain whether narcissist rewrites history from your perspective? Narcissist rewrites history to be able to find a reality that they're comfortable living with because they're not comfortable living with the shame and the guilt of the things that they've done. So they'll rewrite history so that they can feel better about themselves and so they don't have to deal with whatever they have put other people through. Narcissists will rewrite history to be able to get away from all the shit that they put people through. And they'll keep rewriting and rewriting and rewriting until they get to the place that they don't remember what the truth was. And that's where it gets hard. That's where it gets hard, and that's where you get to the place where you're going through life and you're like, I don't remember that section of my life. Or you're going through life and you're like, I don't remember this whole scenario that happened. It hit me hard one time where my wife and I were talking, we were sitting on the car and we were talking. We had a 15, 20-minute conversation in the car. And this is more along the lines of when I was like starting to heal, but like I still had like memory problems and things. We were sitting in the car and we had a 15-minute conversation. It was a tough conversation, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't arguing, it wasn't yelling, but it was like a very like heavy conversation. And got out of the car, walked inside, like 15 feet, walked inside. She turned around, she asked me something about that conversation. And I looked at her and I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, conversation we just had, do you not remember it? And I was like, yeah. I was like, we talked about like, this stuff. I didn't know. I couldn't remember a conversation that happened literally 30 seconds. And as a result, like I started realizing, and that in that moment, like that was, oh gosh, that was, I don't know, several months ago. That was like 6 months ago or something like that when that happened. That was like a scary reality for me because I knew and I recognized that there had just been a conversation that happened, walked inside, couldn't remember a single word, couldn't remember the topic, couldn't remember what we discussed, couldn't remember anything like that. And like there was a point where like I started like tearing up because I was like, I'm like freaking out. Like, what is happening in my life that I've actually messed up my memory so bad of taking whatever little traumas I think is there, rewriting it, pushing stuff away to the point that it's like hurting my memory. That's what gets crazy. That's what gets crazy when you start losing gaps, when you start losing parts of your memory, when you start losing bits and pieces that you should have. That's where it gets like really hard. And when it gets to the place where you're like, is this me? Is this narcissism? Is this healing? Like, what am I actually feeling? Which part, when you lie so much to yourself, when you gaslight yourself so much, it's like, hey, like in this moment, how I'm interacting, how I'm thinking, how I'm being, is this my true self? Is this my mask? It's hard when you can't tell the difference. That's what gets really hard. Anyways, it's getting close to 9 o'clock, so I said I was going to jump off there. Check out the link in my bio. I do have a rough draft website that I'm throwing up, rawmotivations.com. Going to be offering some coaching and some narcissism chats, one-on-ones. Feel free to check it out. Schedule time. Would love to be able to talk to you guys, be able to help out any way I can. So thank you all so much. Yeah, I need to do a video about. Yes, I need to do a video about that sometime. If you can like message me, that would be great because then I'd actually remember. Otherwise, I probably will forget. So, Nick, shoot me a message sometime. Tell me exactly what video or what topic, and I'll see about getting one done for you. Okay. All right. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great night, and I will see y'all later. Take care.